Welcome to Ruling on the
This
Field.
is the weekend everybody had circled.
NIL has changed college
Definitely
football.
worthy of winning that
The
award.
best player in the country.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the home of the world's biggest rodeo, where the stars light up the night underneath that Texas sky. Welcome to the show. Are you ready for a ride? Yeah, you better buckle up and hold on tight. Where the Bayou City streets meet the country roads. Welcome to the show.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Ruling on the Field. College football is upon us. We had week 0 games this week. Week 1's coming up. Guys, we finally made it out of the offseason. No more bullshit, no more stupid things to talk about. We finally get to do the real deal. Brady, how you doing?
Good. I'd be doing better if we had a better week zero slate. Those games yesterday, I get it. If you look at what they scheduled, nothing really worth writing about or talking about today.
Absolutely, but the good news is that week 1 is probably one of the best week 1s we've ever had. We have a 1 versus 3, a 4 versus 9, and a 6 versus 10. It just does not get better than that. There's a few matchups, and I think we'll talk about them at the end of this episode a little bit, but we're going to get into some preseason predictions, kind of share where we're all at and what we have for this upcoming season in terms of like Heisman's, conference winners, national champion, natty game, and then maybe let's throw in a surprise playoff team in there.
Yeah, when we're going to start two-time national champions back to back, starting with the Big Ten. I think we're probably different on this one. We haven't talked about our picks before the show. I think it's Penn State's year. I think this is the year James Franklin. This is the best team he's had since he's been there. It's the best Penn State team I've seen in a long time. I think this is finally the year they get it. They don't have to play Michigan. I think their schedule is very favorable. I think Drew Aller's probably the best quarterback in the conference. And I think they have the best running back room in the country.
At least one of them, right? And that's who I currently have to win the Big Ten. But the Big Ten's a weird one for me. And I'll tell you why. I'm looking at the Big Ten, and obviously, like you said, this is where I think Penn State has all the marbles, everything set up for them. This reminds me a lot of that Michigan team 2 years ago, where they bring back a ton of experience. Drew Aller's coming back for, I believe, year 4 right now.
Yep.
They have one of the best running back rooms in the country. They have great offensive line. The defensive line's great. There's not a lot of weaknesses, but my thing is, can James Franklin get over that hurdle? They have to play Oregon. Granted, it's going to be the whiteout game at Penn State this year, but they have to go on the road to Ohio State, and that's always a tough environment. I believe, I'm not sure if that's going to be a night game. I believe it is. So
Probably.
they
Or they,
might,
I don't think so because Fox will probably have it and they'll probably make it a big noon game.
maybe it might be a big noon game. I don't
If
know if
Fox
it's a
has it,
lot.
it's definitely a noon game. If CBS has it, it'll probably go night game.
Or ESPN,
ESPN, yeah.
one of them, right? Yeah, so there's some questions in there. The other thing is I don't know how much I trust James Franklin, right?
Yeah.
Like he's never been able to beat Michigan. He's never been able, well, in the
In a year that it
last five
mattered.
years,
Yeah.
right? It hasn't been, he's beat Ohio State, what, one time? Oregon's kind of a powerhouse this year. Now, here's where it gets weird. You have an Ohio State team that there's a lot of questions, and people are saying, oh, they're going to go back to back. Well, here's the thing. Who's the best player in the country? They have Jeremiah Smith. They have the best defensive player in the country in Caleb Downs. But I look at him a little bit. I don't think it's as severe as last year because, like what Michigan had.
Hmm.
It's very possible to me that Ohio State loses 3 games this year.
Yeah.
Very possible that they lose 3 regular season games. So I'm going to leave that on the table. But at the same time, they could Julian Sain could show up. I mean, they have a good wide receiver room still pretty deep at Ohio State, but there's a lot of like questions that I don't think a lot of people are talking about. So Ohio State could be there. Maybe they can't. So those are two teams. I look at Oregon. Oregon, Dante Moore, obviously he played at UCLA, had some good, good reps, good looks there. Didn't do anything last year. but I mean, they just lost Trey McNutt a few weeks ago.
Yep.
I think that, I mean, it could not be the full expectation we get out of Oregon. And then, like Michigan, I think they have a lot of question marks right now. And sure, I'm excited to see what they're going to do. We hear all the talk about it. But then you look at their schedule, they don't play Penn State, they don't play Oregon, and they have Ohio State at home. So they're two real tests, maybe three tests. They have Nebraska on the road pretty early.
Yep.
They have USC on the road, but I don't trust USC to beat a Michigan team right now. So I don't think that's going to happen. And they have Ohio State at home. And until Ohio State can beat Michigan, I take Michigan in that. So there's a chance for really any of those four teams to make it. And then we can't leave out an Indiana or an Illinois. So I'm a little bit questionable about the Big Ten right now, but I'm going to roll with Penn State this year.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up Nebraska because I think they're a team a lot of people are looking over. Their non-conference and their conference schedule is fantastic for them. There's a real possibility that Nebraska finishes 10-2 and really throws a monkey wrench into things. Raiola is going to be really good this year. I think that's one of the biggest trap games for Michigan this year in week 4 because it's on the road in Lincoln. I think Nebraska could be really good. I think Oregon, I don't know why people are running with the idea that Oregon's just going to be a lock to make the playoffs. Dan Lanning's a great coach. Obviously, Oregon's been fantastic the last 2 years. Um, Going from Bo Nix to Dylan Gabriel to Dante Moore, I think there's a drop off there. I like Dante Moore, obviously, kid from Detroit. I wanted him to go to Michigan when he was a senior in high school. I thought he'd be awesome for the Wolverines. Had some, like you said, had some ups and downs at UCLA. I think he had a really good year last year, sitting behind Dylan Gabriel at Oregon. I think they're going to be good. I don't know that I love them just being a lock and being penciled in at 10-2 in a playoff like guarantee.
I agree, and I think that there's also potential that they drop a game just because a little bit of the inexperience. I know that they lost, some big guys like Terrence Ferguson, right?
Yep.
Um, am I wrong? Did I hear that Evan Stewart was hurt?
I thought I saw a tweet like that too. I think you're probably right.
Let's look that up right now.
And I think the biggest thing for Oregon too, I think they lose week 11 on the road at Washington.
Yeah, and yeah, there's a good chance that Evan Stewart's going to be out for a good part of the 2025 season. So he
Yeah.
does have a torn patella tendon right now. So look, there's question marks around Oregon. So I don't. That's why I don't trust them to make the Big Ten. I think that the teams with the best opportunity to make it in order are going to go Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, and the reason for that is just Michigan has a flat out easy schedule. If they and
Yeah.
I think that this Oklahoma game that they have early in the season on the road night game is going to be huge for them. Whether they're able to pull out of there with a win or they lose it, they're going into conference play with probably the toughest test of their young season before they head into Nebraska and USC. And I think that they'll probably be prepared for those. There's a
Hmm.
good chance that they could, have 0 or 1 losses going into a matchup with Ohio State, which is why I think that that could happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I think Penn State is my favorite. Ohio State can have some question marks, but they also have potential to be 12-0, which is why I like those two teams as my
Yeah. Who do you like in the SEC?
SEC. I like Texas, and I think that's a pretty clear favorite
Yep.
for everybody this year. Just what they're returning, what we saw out of Arch Manning. I think this is a pretty deep Texas team, and we're really going to figure out. I think that they're going to win that week 1 game against Ohio State on the road. I don't like that line. It's 1.5. So I mean, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but I think they have all the marbles coming back for them. There's some question marks around the conference this year. What's Bama going to be like? What's Georgia going to be like? We don't know, and I think Texas is really the only set in team this year in the SEC.
Yeah, I think you put it perfectly. I like Texas a lot too. Obviously, Arch Manning, huge hype train there. I think he's going to be really good. I don't think he's a Heisman candidate
No.
or should be the favorite. I don't think. I think a lot of the SEC has too many other questions. You look at South Carolina, how good is Lenore Sellers going to be? We've heard all offseason that this guy's a video game character, that he should be the Heisman favorite, that South Carolina's going to make the playoffs. I think there's too many questions, especially about their defense this year. I think Florida's another one. DJ Lagway, he's another guy that everybody's been praising as hey, he's the next guy for Florida. We don't know how good he's going to be. LSU, we have no idea what they're going to look like. It's a Brian Kelly coach team. You can flip a coin whether they're going to show up that week or not. Alabama, Georgia both have quarterback questions too. I think there's a lot of questions and uncertainty in the SEC, and I think if you're going down and checking boxes. Who's got a good defense? Who's got reliable receivers? Who's got the quarterback? Who's got the coaches that you know can get them to a big spot and compete and win? I think Texas checks all the boxes.
Absolutely. Who are you rocking with? And see this. Let's go to the ACC this year. Who are
Yeah,
you
this is
rocking with in
one.
the
I think we're
ACC?
probably lockstep here too. I think Clemson is the easy favorite. I think they
Yeah,
will blow through the ACC this year. Cade Klubnik is probably. I think he's probably the best quarterback in the country this year. I think it's between him, Aller, and Nussmeier from LSU. Uh, Klubnik coming back was a surprise for me. I did not think I thought he'd be gone. I thought he probably would have been a top five quarterback taken off the board last year. I just think they're going to be really good.
yeah. I have Clemson as well. Look, I think they're really deep. Cade Klubnik is actually. I'll tell you a little bit. Actually, I won't bring it up yet, but he. No, he's the best quarterback in the country, and I think that's hands down. He brings back a ton of experience. Is this year three or year four
This
for
is year
him?
four.
It is year four. So he, like Drew Aller, he's coming back. There's a lot of returning production at Clemson. Dabo's finally given into the transfer portal, the NIL aspects of college football now, which I mean, it's different because he never wanted to do that, but at some point you have to give into it, and he's done a great job. And I think Clemson, with their schedule and what they return, what they have in front of them, there's no reason that they could not compete for a national championship this year.
Yeah. And Big 12, this is one I think we might be different on, but we talked a little bit before. And the way you were talking about it made me think we might be the same. I've got Arizona State winning the Big 12 again. Yeah. Okay. So we're 4 for 4 so far with our
Yep.
picks. I just think Sam Levitt's going to be way better than he was last year. Obviously, you lose Scatabo. They bring back a lot of the production on the defensive side of the ball. I think Jordan Tyson's going to be probably the best wide receiver in that conference. He was an already All-American third team preseason selection. Um, and Arizona State's a good team. I mean, they were a bad targeting no call away from beating Georgia last year. So I just think there's a lot to like about Kenny Dillingham. I think he's probably the most fun, uh, quote-worthy young coach we have in the game right now, and I think Arizona State is going to probably roll through the Big 12. I will say, week two they play at Mississippi State. That's their toughest non-conference game, and Mississippi State's no powerhouse. I do think going into an SEC environment on the road week two will be a big test for Sam Levitt.
Absolutely. Did they play last year, from what I recollect, or is it somebody else?
I think it might have been a home and home, so I think they had him last year.
I do think that they had a home and home, and I'm pretty sure Arizona State won that game,
I think so, yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. But look, I mean, Arizona State, returns a lot. You have Jordan Tyson, and he's going to be that main guy on the outside, along with Sam Levitt. And we saw some of his instinct really highlighted in big games toward the end of the year last year. That game against Texas, he looked like the quarterback you would want to lead your team. And he's coming back this year with, Jordan Tyson. I think that they're going to be a great combo. The question is going to be Arizona State on defense. I'm a little bit questionable about them, but so much with every other team in the Big 12, right?
Hmm.
Um, I That's not a very defensive conference, but I think in terms of explosive plays and what you really need to, win a championship there, I think that they have it all. Their schedule set up pretty favorable, and I have a pretty big uh, hope on them this year. I'll say this: I have a parlay out for every team, every conference in FBS football this year.
Hmm.
I have Texas, Arizona State, Clemson, James Madison, UNLV, which last night looked a little bit shitty.
Rough for Orgy.
Rough for Orgy, but um, I think that could still play out. You're right. Anything can happen. It's the Mountain West. Ohio to win the MAC, Liberty to win Conference USA, UTSA to win the American Conference, and just for the love of it, I put Michigan boys to win the Big Ten.
I like it.
Pick a dollar to win a million.
It's fantastic. Moving on, I think you kind of referenced it earlier. Who do you like for the Heisman pick?
I do like Cade Klubnik, and I think that there is going to be three quarterbacks that are going to be, what's the word for it, that are going to be, no, two quarterbacks and a wide receiver in the Heisman race this year. I think it's going to come down to Cade Klubnik, Lenora Sellers, and then it's going to come down to Jeremiah Smith as well. At the end of it, I kind of like Cade Klubnik just because I think that this is an award, unless last year we had a little bit of an anomaly with Travis Hunter because he played both sides of the ball, and a little bit of generational stuff there. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying Jeremiah Smith isn't, but
Hmm.
I think it's really turned into a quarterback award still. And until we see that change, I'm going to go with Cade Klubnik to win the Heisman.
I thought about Klubnik. I have somebody else's name written down. I thought about scratching it and saying Klubnik, but the fact that you took Klubnik, I'm going to stay with my original pick. I like Nussmeier from LSU. I
Yep.
think they're going to be putting enough big time games and nationally televised moments where he's going to get that have the opportunity to throw the ball, especially week one against Clemson. I just think Nussmeier is probably the best passer in this class. I think a lot of NFL scouts already love him, and I think if the Saints end up with the presumable number one pick, I think there's a real chance he's the first pick in the draft this year.
I can 100% see it. Let's get in. What's the next topic we have?
Who do you have in your natty?
I have Notre Dame making the national championship this year again.
I love it.
Right. I think that they're bringing back a lot. Obviously, CJ Carr, it's going to be a new quarterback for them, so it's a little bit questionable there.
Start the car.
But right, I think that they're bringing back enough to make a run for it. And I can say that everybody has questions, but or I can say that they have questions, but so does everybody this year.
Yeah.
It's one of those years. So I'm going to put Notre Dame in there, and I think that they are going to be playing Clemson for the national championship.
Ooh, and who do you have in that game? Give me a final score.
I have Notre Dame 35-31.
Ooh, okay, I like that. I like that a lot. I'm glad we're very different on this. I didn't have Notre Dame making the Natty. I think they're obviously going to make the playoffs. I think the Big Ten goes triple, three in a row. I just think there's something in the air, something like a vibe in the air. I had the same feeling last year about Ohio State going into the year. As much as I hated it, I just kind of had that feeling that like, hey, that Ohio State's going to get it done. Uh, I think I have Penn State over Texas. I think this goes 31-28. I think we get like a classic, like Texas going to play awesome. It's going to elevate Arch Manning to Colt McCoy level status. Uh, I think we have a shootout between Drew Aller and Arch Manning. I have Penn State 31, Texas 28.
All right. I love the conference allegiance.
Yeah, I just something. The tides are turning college football, and then after this year, the SEC will probably win like 4 or 5 in a row again.
I don't know, man.
Um,
I think I'm not so sure because I think that money is becoming a thing in college football, and we see the teams that have money. And as much as you want to talk about, over the last 15, 20 years about how that success in college football has typically moved to the South, we're going to start seeing some of these schools like Notre Dame, right, as we've seen in the last few years, start to really up their NIL game. They have all the donors, all the money. We've seen it with Michigan. Why is it happening? Because they have the money, they have the donors. USC, they're going to start making a run back again. I just think that we're at a point where college football might be leveling the scale a little bit, and even more in the Big Ten's favor.
yeah. On the topic of the playoff, I really think we're probably pretty similar here. Who's your surprise playoff team?
I had two.
Okay.
Do you want me to say both?
Yeah, let's go both first.
It's not going to be both of them. I
Okay.
think this year we're either going to have Texas Tech make the playoff and we're going to have two Big 12 teams in. I think that, with their recruiting and the guys that they're bringing in, obviously we haven't seen too much of it. We see a lot of 8-4, 7-5. I think this is the year that we could get a little bit more out of a Texas Tech team where we can maybe push them to 10-2, slip into a playoff spot. That's my second pick. I'm not as confident about that one.
Okay.
I think my surprise playoff team this year is going to be South Carolina. And
Okay.
it's a little bit of a bold pick, but here's what they have. I think until October, they don't really have a test because they play LSU on the road, which is going to be a rough game. I'm not sure
Hmm.
if that's going to be a morning, midday, or night game. Hopefully for South Carolina, that would be
It's like a noon kickoff. Yeah.
like a noon kickoff kind of atmosphere. But I think that depending on how that team is looking going into that game, how they've been playing, they have potential to win that game. Then they follow up the next week with Oklahoma, right? But Oklahoma has to go on the road to South Carolina, and I just
Hmm.
don't see them getting out of there with a win. We've seen South Carolina, even last year, really young team, take some teams down to the wire.
Yep.
right? That LSU team should have lost last year, which is why I think that could be a great game. Then they have Alabama. That's also a home game for South Carolina, and I think there's, with all respect, a lot of questions over at Alabama, and I'm not sure that that's being talked about enough. I'm not super confident in Alabama this year. I think that there's a possibility that they miss out on the playoffs again.
Yep.
They have two more ranked matchups the next few weeks after that. They have Ole Miss. That one's going to be on the road. Not confident about Ole Miss this year.
I disagree. I don't know if they'll make the playoff. I think Austin Simmons is really good.
I'm not like I don't question it, but I feel like South Carolina has more,
Yep.
right? So I'm looking at a team that's kind of, they have potential to move through this conference just because they're not playing at Texas, they're not playing in Georgia. If
Hmm.
if they had one of those teams on the schedule, they wouldn't be in this conversation for me. Then they play at A&M, which will probably be a rough game. I
Yep.
think that they're look, I think that they're going to drop one game between South Carolina or Texas A&M, Ole Miss, and Alabama.
Yep.
Right? So I think um, that they could be going into a matchup with Clemson, right?
Hmm.
And I think that this is one of those games, and it's at South Carolina. I think this is the year, kind of like Michigan, Ohio State last year, where South Carolina is going to beat Clemson, but they're going to finish 10-2. They're going to get into the playoffs, and Clemson's going to go on a run from there. And
I
I think
like it.
that's kind of how I see this shaping up because it's not going to be a conference loss.
Yeah.
It will not count as a conference loss, but it's something that the committee would look at and be like, wow,
Hmm.
this is a South Carolina team that should be in the playoff.
Yeah. I like it. I think it'd be fun. I want Lenora Sellers to be good. I like Shane Beamer as a coach. I think he's a really good coach, really good person. I think it'd be fun if South Carolina was good. People are gonna hate my surprise team. I think if you know me, you should. This shouldn't be a surprise. I've been talking about it all summer. I think Michigan makes the playoffs. I think. I think this team, their ceiling is 11-1. I think they lose to Oklahoma week 2 because I think it's just a tough environment to be in. I still think, realistically, I think their floor is 9-3. I think they finish 10-2. I think Bryce Underwood is the truth. They'll announce it tomorrow on the 25th that he's going to be the first true freshman to start at quarterback for Michigan since Tate
Since Chad
Forcier.
Henney.
It's Tate Forcier,
Oh, I guess, yeah, Tate Forcier was a freshman, right?
who obviously things didn't work out well there. But anyways, not regardless. Um, I think Bryce Underwood's the truth. I think our receiver room is going to be way better this year with McNolly. Samaj Morgan's actually running routes this year instead of just catching bubbles, as he said himself. I think the defense, obviously, yeah, you lose a lot of production up front. You still bring back a lot of defensive production on the outside. I think Zeke Berry is going to be awesome this year.
I want to talk about that real quick.
Yeah,
What they're returning on defense, and I don't think a lot of people notice this about Michigan. If Michigan had a somewhat productive quarterback last year, they would have been a playoff team.
yeah.
A somewhat productive quarterback. And we watched the game against Alabama, right? A team that, beat Georgia, um, could have been in the playoff, but blew an opportunity,
Mhm.
blew a few of them. And Michigan's backup players just ran through what is supposed to be the best offensive line in college football this year with all their backups.
Yeah.
And all those guys are returning this year. So that's scary to me because not only do they have like four or five guys, they've said that they have 10 guys that can rotate on that defensive line. And so
Mhm.
they're constantly flowing, they're constantly ready, and you're going to have guys that aren't worn out. So they're just going to attack you. And this is where things could happen for Michigan.
Yeah.
I'm going to that Oklahoma game. I'm going to that Oklahoma game. I will be there in 2 weeks. I'm super excited for it. It's gonna be my first time, in Norman for a game week. Michigan can win that game, and it's gonna like it would be because of that defensive line. I really think that we're gonna see from them early in the season how good they could be. I'll know the answer to if they can make the playoff after week 2. That's all I can say.
Yeah. And last thing I'll say about Michigan here, I think they have, obviously, I said earlier, Penn State's got the best running back room in the country. I've been on that for 3 years now. I think Michigan's probably number two or three, at least in the Big Ten. I think,
They have to be number two. If you have to put the top 10 running backs in college football for this upcoming season, I think Michigan has two inside the top 10, maybe top 15.
I'd say, yeah, top 20 probably, because I don't think there's enough tape out there for Jordan Marshall outside of
I
the bowl
agree.
game.
There is no
But
okay. So let's say top 15.
yeah,
Top 15 this season, I think they have two of them.
yeah, no, I'm very high on Michigan. I don't think they're going to win a national championship. I don't even think they'll win a playoff game. All I'm saying is I think they get invited to the dance. They're not gonna talk to the prom queen or kiss the prettiest girl at the dance. They're just gonna make the dance.
Absolutely. And honestly, the reason I did not put them as a surprise team was because I wouldn't be super surprised.
Yeah.
It and in a way I kind of expect it, but I
Hmm.
wouldn't be shocked if they weren't in the playoffs just because of their schedule this year. You have to look at it. They play obviously tough game at Oklahoma, but it's not going to affect their conference record.
Yeah.
If they run the table in the Big Ten, for the most part, if they're 10-2, they're getting in.
How pissed would
If they have a win over Nebraska and they're 10-2, they're getting in.
how pissed would James Franklin be if he has to play Michigan in the Big Ten championship?
I think you'd be
He would be he's got to be so pissed. His best team ever doesn't have to play Michigan, and then we show up in Indy. I want
probably
that
pretty
more.
pissed.
I want that more than I want Brian Kelly LSU Notre Dame playoff game.
And
But
that would be I think that's probably my dream playoff game right there.
yeah,
I think Joel Klatt had talked about that the other day. How
yeah, that's where I saw it too.
right? All right, let's get into next week's games.
All right, yeah, I'll run through them here quick.
Obviously, the biggest one of the week. We have Texas at Ohio State. What a matchup we have. What do we have happening in that game? What's there to look forward to? How's this game going to be won?
I think I've gone back and forth on this all week on which way I want to bet it. At the end of the day, I think Texas is the better team. I think they're going to do the same thing they did Michigan last year, coming up and playing at Ann Arbor. Everybody talked about, like Texas is like this warm weather SEC team, and obviously the game's even played in August, so weather won't really factor into it at all. Um,
It was 50 degrees that day in August in Michigan.
yeah, 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 yeah,
It's not a warm day.
yeah. But no, I think Texas is the better team. I think this is Arch Manning's first really big like coming out party. Jeremiah Smith, Caleb Downs are probably gonna have awesome days. I just think Arch Manning is so much better than Julian Sayin, which is tough to say because we haven't really seen either of them play extended snaps. I just think Texas is a better team, and I think Sark's the better head coach.
That's kind of where I'm at too. And if you're Ohio State and you lose that game, you're a little bit competitive. You stay competitive there. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. It doesn't define your season. You have everything in front of you.
Hmm.
You have the games that you need to win, and that's that. I think it's going to be a testament to where these teams are, going forward in the rest of the season. And everything from there is going to be how they adapt. None of it will define their playoff ranking or any of that because at the end of the day, one of these two teams is going to be competing. Maybe both of them could be competing for national championships at the end of the year.
Yeah,
I'm just really excited to watch the quarterback play here. I think it's going to come down to who's more comfortable in the pocket because both these teams are going to have great defensive fronts. Who's
hmm,
going to be able to stay comfortable, not just take the sacks and have be able to read the defense right. And for me, right now, that's Arch Manning, just because of what we've seen. Julian Sand hasn't had really any snaps in real games where guys are actually supposed to hit the quarterback. So this is going
yeah.
to be a first for us. I'm excited to see what we can watch. But yeah, absolutely. Jeremiah Smith's going to have a great day. I think Caleb Downs could be a very impact player there, but I do have Texas winning that by the slightest margins.
Who do you like in LSU Clemson?
I like Clemson. If I'm not wrong, that's a
Fourth
neutral
or
site.
yeah. Let me look. It's the night game. It's at Clemson,
It's at Clemson.
which is weird because usually the Clemson gets the SEC like at Mercedes in Atlanta or something.
Are we
Um,
sure about that?
yeah, mine says it's at Clemson. Game details: Memorial Stadium, Clemson, South Carolina.
Huh.
It's kind of stunning, right? Good for Clemson, but
Yeah, it's great for Clemson.
yeah,
So yeah, I definitely even then, I guess I definitely have Clemson winning that game.
Yeah.
You know, I've said it before on, this episode, and I'll say it again. I think Cade Klubnik's the best quarterback in the country. I think that they're super deep. They have not a lot of weaknesses. It's kind of like that Penn State team. So
Hmm.
I think that they're ready to go for this one. I still think that there's a little bit of questions at LSU, not too many, but I don't think that that's going to be enough to walk in and get a win on the road.
Yeah, I agree. I think Clemson finally gets the early they finally kick the bug that they've had the last few years of an early season SEC blowout loss like they had with Georgia last year. Um, I like Clemson a lot in this game. I think they're a better team.
Absolutely.
And heading down to Hard Rock, Notre Dame at Miami.
There you go. Catholics, convicts to start the year.
It's the best. I love Notre Dame in this game. I've been on record before. I don't think Carson Beck's very good. What did I say last year? I'd lose a toe or something if he won the Heisman.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was a few months ago.
Yeah, whatever it
Now,
was. But
and here's what I have to say about it. I do think Notre Dame's going to win this game.
yep.
I think it's going to be a lot closer than people expect. I think that
Hmm.
there's people that are going to think Notre Dame should win this game by three scores.
Yep.
Don't think that's the case. I think this game is going to be a one score game, but we're going to see a Notre Dame team that's more physical, kind of dominates the line of scrimmage, and that's how they're going to win this football game. But I want you guys to watch out for Carson Beck this year. And I think that, granted, last year was terrible for him, but he's been around great QB coaches, great QB developers in his years of college so far. And he's heading into a system and a conference where it favors quarterbacks more. So if he can play at a pretty decent level, I think that he could elevate this Miami team. It's what they need, and we could easily see him competing for an ACC championship with Clemson.
Yeah, I think if there's anybody in the ACC that's probably going to get close enough to, giving Clemson a run for their money, it's probably Miami. That being said, I don't think that if you couldn't do it last year with the number one pick, Cam Ward, I don't know that Carson Beck is the guy to hit your wagons to if you're a Hurricanes fan.
No, I agree.
That being said, though, very excited for that game. I
Yeah.
like when Notre Dame plays big games. It's a shame they won't play Michigan until like 2037 or something dumb like that.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think it's 33
yeah,
something. I
so
mean,
it's very a real possibility we
yeah.
both. I mean, you'll be married by then. Real possibility we both have kids by then,
Yeah. Kind of
which is
sucks because
insane to say.
that was my favorite childhood game growing up.
Yeah, that's nuts. But yeah, football's back. I'm pumped.
Guys, football is back. Let's go, baby.
It's the best time of the year.
Absolutely. So, hey, look forward to seeing you guys next week. We'll do one more. We'll try and do one more episode maybe this week. Really get into detail about not just those three games, but a few of the other ones. We'll see what happens. But if not, we'll see you guys after week one. Hope everybody has a great week. Go
And
blue.
go blue, and we'll have picks coming soon this week. Stay tuned for
Absolutely.
those.
Degenerate Parlay is back. Be
Coming
ready
back.
for it.
We're
Best
hitting
bets as
this year.
well. One of them is going to hit.
We're making it out this year. We got it.
We are. All right.
All right, go
Take
blue.
care, guys.